Just I won't be long. I know you're anxious to wrap up. Just to say, I too support the first motion. I think it's absolutely horrendous when you go to these schemes and see the roads which have essentially been abandoned by all authorities, and people pay their money, pay off mortgages, they're in the schemes, and they can't rely on any authority to maintain those roads. And I've seen it over and over again in several different parts of Jamaica. So I support that motion. I would also say that I think the argument was made, well, the authorities should only have to take it over if the roads have been built by the developer. But at the end of the day, who suffers are the residents. And the risk should be borne by the authorities, not by the residents, because the authorities can put in place laws and measures and conditions to ensure that the developer does what they're supposed to do. So the onus should be shifted to the authority and taken up by the residents. So I support that. The only thing is a small point. I was saying that in the motion, in the last prayer, it speaks to these roads being transferred to local government, KSAC, which no longer exists, it's KSAMC, but and any other local authority, including, but not limited to the National Works Agency. And I was just making the point, National Works Agency is not a local authority. So the way that's worded is a little inelegant and inaccurate, but it can be fixed. On the other motions to do with the Representation of the People's Act, I endorse what the Leader of Opposition Business in the House has said. I think the House should not rush to come to a conclusion on amendments to ROPA without the considered input of the ECJ and the staff who are responsible for elections. That is a tradition. And speaking for myself, these technical matters, I would not want to vote in favor of something that I may not have considered all the relevant factors and end up having been told that we've supported something that is unworkable or is inappropriate or that we ought to have voted against. So I would love to see this being sent elsewhere to the ECJ specifically for their comments before we take any position on these resolutions to do with the ROPA, the Representation of People Act. And I wouldn't want our side to vote in favor of motions which have not had that opportunity, because we've been endorsing a procedure which I think is flawed and is inconsistent with a good tradition that has been built up over many years in this parliament. In relation to the last one, which I think is to do a constitutional amendment, it has very far-reaching implications. It's essentially eliminating the restriction on dual citizenship for membership of the parliament. And I do think that the public has strong views on this, and I believe that we should have a process before, again, the parliament rushes into that kind of thing. So I would support what the member for West Central St. James has suggested in relation to that last motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.